Okay, hello everyone, and I thank you, Osama, for today and thank you for the platform, for offering the platform to present about Edge. I'll start my presentation about Edge. I'm an Edge expert and auditor and an Edge faculty. I'll be speaking about the course of Edge and the certification system and how it's different from other certification schemes. I usually start with this very ice-breaking activity. I know I'll be quick with it because the time is limited, but you can just do the exercise by yourself very quickly. So it's called How Many Apples Out of 7. There are 7 challenges, and if you do this challenge, you gain 1 apple, and we're going to see who gets the 7 apples. So the first one is if you use the bus and the carpooling, like you use a shared car or electrical car to go to work or to university. The other one, if you use the stairs instead of the elevator. I know that's very hard, but sometimes we just get so keen and use the elevator for a more comfortable experience. The third one is if you turn off your devices instead of keeping them in sleep mode, knowing that they still consume 40% of their energy if they're just in sleep mode. The fourth one is if you use reusable bags at the supermarket instead of the plastic bags, which take more than 200,000 years to get, and they change to particles that get into food at the end. Number 5 is if you have your own water bottle or you get the plastic bottles, keep on buying them. The 6th one, if you use solar heating to heat the water for the shower, well, this depends on the climatic region, to be honest. I know it is an issue in hot climates. And the last one, if you use the fan instead of the AC. Well, if anyone got the 7 apples, you can just write them down in the chat box. So I just went so quickly because sometimes we just go, buildings take us too much and we don't focus on the behavior we usually do, which is at the end usually environmentally conscious as well. So I'll start now. I'll save the time for all the discussion, even about the apples, till the end, just so we get more time to discuss together. So today's presentation will include introduction about the Edge. We're going to talk about the green buildings in general, about the Edge system, the Edge software, the methodology of Edge, and the certification of how to become an Edge expert and gain the accreditation as well. And then we'll have the discussion time. So the first, if I speak quickly, you can just tell me not to speed up. So I'll start now. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what are green buildings and why do we need green buildings? So as we all know, all this movement towards green buildings and towards energy efficient buildings is that the energy consumption growth from 2015 to 2035 has came up 37%, has increased 37%. There's also a fear that there is 96% of the growth will occur in developing countries. So developing countries need to be under focus and not just focus on countries that are already developed. And green certification usually is always limited to countries that do have, let's say, that are more developed. So this is a very important thing of the Edge aims and objectives. There will be 100% increase in population in developing countries by 2050. And when you say it is doubling, the increased population will also need more houses, more buildings, and then you have a vicious cycle of the same challenge that's happening again and again. There is 50% increase on water consumption by 2025. So all the numbers are going up. There's nothing that's staying stable in terms of consumption and energy and water and resources in general. 1.8 billion people will be living in countries or regions with absolute water scarcity. So that's a very challenging fact. And the third is that 2/3 of the world's population could live with water stress conditions. So we can see that all the numbers are increasing and there should be a limit. And even though we do have multiple green certification systems, these numbers are not widely controlled as they should be. In terms of building materials as well, the building also consumes material, consumes energy during the construction and let's say the extraction of materials. So that's all embodied energy within the material. So we just get it at the end of the building, but usually, as any other green certification scheme or green design, you usually take the material into consideration. And we can see that some materials use, most of the materials are used in buildings. So 40% of the building construction industry consumes 40% of the natural materials. So all the materials that are being constructed are being, let's say, fabricated. They're all 40% of the material is used in buildings, and that's a huge number, almost half of them. As we know, we spend 90% of our time in the buildings, and so the building doesn't only consume energy when we build it and when we construct it, but also during operation. And this is always also a continuous energy consumption during the occupancy time. Well, in very simple words, a green building should be warm inside, during winter, where outside temperature is very low, the inside temperature should be stable. At the same time, in summer, it should be stable as well inside when it's very hot or warm outside. So then we won't need any mechanical systems for heating or cooling. This will cause us in saving energy, saving electricity, saving money, reducing the material and consumption, reducing carbon emissions, and saving the environment. So that's very simple words with what a green building is and what we're trying to reach apart from all the complexity that's in any details, but that's just very simple. So how do we verify that the building is green or not? As you all know, there are multiple green certification schemes, and they vary according to the content, the schemes, the climatic zones, the area they cover, and the type of buildings. And we can see there are a lot of them, and each one is tailored towards a certain climatic and, let's say, region. So all the green certification systems usually focus on different categories, such as sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy efficiency, waste management, indoor air quality. Again, they all differ slightly from each other, but these are the general categories. However, EDGE is a bit different. It focuses on three main elements, which are energy, water, and materials. These are the main three categories that EDGE considers. And a certified building, a building that takes the certification of EDGE, needs to reduce 20% of the energy, 20% of the water use, and 20% in materials. So if any building uses 20% less than the energy and water and materials, embodied energy and materials, that's in a certain city or a country, then it is qualified for the certification. So EDGE, as maybe you have heard before, it's by IFC, and IFC is the member of the World Bank, which, as you know, does funding to multiple projects, and IFC is part of the World Bank. So why was EDGE created after we have lots of certification schemes? So the main concept behind EDGE was to mainstream green buildings and tackle climate change. So as I said earlier, green buildings are now only for marketing, only for huge buildings, only for commercial buildings. You barely see a small house that has, let's say, any international green certification. It's the extra additional cost, it's additional time, additional experiences needed. So it is more tailored for commercial and, let's say, a larger budget scale projects. EDGE was created to the bottom of the pyramid. It was created to the mass market. It was created to increase the number of green buildings certified instead of just having minimum of them. So this is the main concept behind EDGE. EDGE is now spread all around the world. It's in more than 83 countries, and we have almost 7,000 projects certified already. It's getting more and more noticed in the Middle East as well. There are multiple projects. You can actually view them from the website, and there are a few, as I mentioned earlier, in the Middle East. So EDGE, in summary, or let's say in brief, it contains three categories, three elements, let's say. The first is that it has a software, and that's one of the main benefits, or let's say the advantages that EDGE has and no other certification scheme has. There's a software that's attached to Edge where anyone can actually open it. It's the Edge app. And you enter this, you just make a free username and you can enter the application and you can test how your building will perform. And you can add the city, and then there are the embodied, let's say, information about every city almost every city in the world. And then all the benchmark would be, it's as I said, it's input in the software itself, and then you can experiment which strategies you want to implement in terms of energy, water, and material that will reduce the consumption to the required percentage. The other one is the available standards, that it is a set standard. If you reduce 20% in energy, water, and embodied energy and material, you gain the certification. However, if you increase, you get higher certifications, which I will mention afterwards. And the last thing is that it's a green label. It gives you this certification for the building. So this is the website for the application. It's app.edgebuildings.com, and you can enter that, and you can do their username. There are embedded information about utility cost, about climate data for every city, and it also does the calculation regarding design principles, design guidance on multiple measures. Sorry, it also gives you how much you're going to save. So that's a very good part for developers, because then you can do that with your client and they can actually see an interactive way of how their building will perform and how much it will save. So if, as I said earlier, if you save 20% in energy use, 20% in water use, and 20% in embodied energy in material, then you are qualified for the green certification. And this 20% definitely is different from a country to another because they are according to the climate. If you increase the saving to 40% in energy use and 20% as it is in water and material, then you get an improved or enhanced certification, which is called Edge Advanced. And the last certification would be Edge Zero Carbon if you improve 40% and you also add renewables and carbon offsets. But this certification has to, the building definitely has to be occupied for at least 5 years in order to show that savings and this building is actually producing energy as much as it's consuming. So this is the software, as I said, and you can enter it from this website, and then it has 3 categories, as you can see, actually 4, because they have the design. So in the design section, you can add the building type. There are multiple building typologies that are covered under the Edge, and definitely you can select your location in the city, and then all the data will change accordingly. Also, in terms of energy, also you can select if it is a low income, if it's a high income, if it is because then the numbers will change and the amount of savings also will change. So it also has like 3 levels of what is the target of the project, and then the numbers that you want to reach will also differ accordingly. And you would see that if this is a low income and versus the one on the right is a high income, you would see that within the same strategies, you can get different numbers, as well as if you change the city, also then you also get different numbers. So it is all, let's say, interactive and according to the selections. And then there's the water section. There are multiple strategies. You can check in the strategy you want to apply, and then it changes here, and you can see the amount of saving, because there are like 2 labels, which will be shown now in another image, where one of them is the base case, and then the other one is how much you're improving. And as I said earlier, within the first drawing it's the low income. You will see that the number you want to reach is 6, versus if you go, then you have to achieve a higher number, that's liters per flush for the category selected, liters per minute, sorry, for the shower heads. So that's just how an example, how the numbers change when you change the level of, let's say, income. And then these are the typologies in Edge certification. It takes homes, mixed use, hotels, resorts, retail. It has no minimum. It's only the area of 200 meters square, and that doesn't cover the house. So the houses and homes can be as minimum as you want, but this number is controlling the other typologies. As I said, there are two, let's say, labels here. And the first one would be the base case, which is the regular one according to the city chosen. And then the other one would be how much saving you would do. So that's when you start, and that's after you implement the strategies. And in this example, there are 4 strategies that have been implemented, which is reduction in energy consumption and water and embodied energy. You can see how everything is changed according to the city. So the edge doesn't really consider how complex the geometry is. It just gives you a basic geometry. It does take the dimensions, the area, the window to wall ratios, all the data input for the design, but it simplifies everything. And then the edge methodology, as we said earlier, you'll have a standard and local data. And then the user will actually input the specific data for each building, and then you'll get it will calculate the base case building numbers, or let's say ratios or energy consumption. So the improved case building needs to be, as I said earlier, needs to be reduced for 20%. And if it increases the 20%, so in this example, it is 27.26. So then, yes, it meets the edge energy standard. And then you have to do this again with the water and with the embodied energy in material. And they are all linked together. So if you, for example, if there's a reduction in hot water use, it will reduce the energy used in producing hot water. So they are also interrelated together. Also in material, if you change the material, then it will change also the thermal specifications of the walls and the roof, and then this will also reflect afterwards. So the edge, so the thermal calculations and virtual energy. So the virtual energy is something that it appears when a cooling or heating system is not installed. So the building is only on natural ventilation. But then you have another bar on the side, which shows you that if you install in the future an air conditioning or an AC conditioner or electrical cooling or heating, this is how it will perform, and this is the amount of savings that will occur. So it's called the virtual energy, which you will see in your simulation or results. So that's just a brief about the software. But I want to speak about the EDGE certification, the roles and process and how to proceed. So the EDGE certification process, the main parts of it are, as we said, the EDGE app, the EDGE user guide, the project documentation, EDGE auditor, EDGE certifier, EDGE experts. These are the whole things you need to have for having the EDGE certification. So the client will actually first deal with an EDGE expert. The EDGE expert will contact the EDGE auditor, and then they will contact the EDGE certifier. And these two, the EDGE experts and the EDGE auditors, are the certifications, the accreditation that any person or engineer can actually gain. So the EDGE expert, if any person wants to get the EDGE expert, they need to get a training, EDGE faculty training, and then they need to apply for an exam. And in order to apply for the exam, you have to pass the training course, which is either done, which is the thing I do, it's either done online or it's either done physical. The EDGE certification process also is, as we said, it's these are the steps. So first, there's the design team who create the design, and the construction team. They contact an EDGE expert, and then the EDGE expert will contact, and then the client will contact the auditor, EDGE auditor. The EDGE auditor has to be from a different company or a different organization than the EDGE expert, and it will come and check that all the details added to the design certification are correct. And then the EDGE auditor will contact the EDGE certifier, which is like GBCI or any other one relevant to the country. So the process of certification would be, everything is done on the website, by the way, so everything is very easy and user-friendly. So first it starts with registration like any other certification scheme, and then there's a certification for the design, which is a preliminary certificate. And then you have to go through the auditing process and the certification. And then comes the other stage, which is the EDGE certificate. And that would happen during the construction. So there will be a site audit where the auditor will have to go and verify that everything on site is implemented as it was in the design. And then you gain the EDGE certificate. If you're aiming for a zero carbon certificate, you go for another step where you have to report the energy used for 5 years after the operation. This is how the certification looks like, the certificate. And it shows you how much savings you have achieved. So as you said, the process of the certification, you create the project, you register, the design team will contact the EDGE expert and they will work together on the design, and then the client will contact the design auditor and then they will get the preliminary certification. And the other certification, the final one, will be during the after the post-construction audit. So I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but EDGE covers new buildings and already existing buildings. So how do you want to become an EDGE expert? In order to become an EDGE expert, you need to, as I said earlier, you need to go through the course, the training course or the workshop, and then you need to apply for the exam. And the exams can actually be done at a center, an informametric center, or online. So the things that will be studied will be the EDGE user guide and the EDGE protocols, and there are multiple folders regarding that are all available on the website. So the EDGE exam. Sorry, the headphone is missed. Okay. So the EDGE expert exam it's as I mentioned earlier, it's computer-based. It's 75 multiple questions. The pass rate is 70%. It's 2 hours and a half. It's for $100 paid directly to Prometric. All the exams are closed book, and they are available in different languages, often Arabic, but in different other languages, and such as English and others. And the exams should be taken within 2 months after receiving the eligibility code. So the eligibility code is given after you obtain the workshop, or you go through the workshop and take the course. And then you have 2 months to study all the documents and then apply for the exam. This is the weight of each of the different categories of the questions that they will be distributed in order to cover all this and ensure the understanding of it. So that's all I have for now. I tried to be brief. I hope I wasn't too fast, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Hiba. Now I will open the mics for everyone. So if anyone has a question, the reaction. 1 minute. Yes, Mr. Ahmed, can you try to open your mic? Anyone? If anyone just want to ask Hiba for anything?
Any questions? No questions. Okay, that's a good thing. If everything is clear.
No, they have questions for sure.
No worries.
Just 1 minute, because I'm trying to open the mics. Yes, Ahmed. Yes, you can speak. Ahmed, I already opened the mics for everyone, so you can just click on the mic and it will work. Okay, Shireen, she has a question. Can you please go back to the different building certificates, EDGE certified, EDGE advanced, and
zero energy.
And zero energy.
So go back in the differences, you mean?
Yes, you can go, Hiba, you can go to the chat box and you can read the questions, because
yes, I went to the Q&A, but I cannot. I guess, is it the Q&A or is it
No, the chat area, not Q&A.
Okay, I'm trying to sort it out, to be honest. where it is.
So difficult because I already opened
I
the
don't
mics,
see
but
I don't see the text box, the chat box. Speaker together mode. I don't see the chat box. I see a Q&A.
turn this off, prevent attendance. So okay,
Maybe
no
I need
problem.
to
I
stop
will read.
sharing.
I will read
Maybe.
the questions. I can read the questions.
Okay. Because
والله
I don't
أحمد
see it.
أنا
I have no
بحاول
idea.
أحمد والله بحاول مش ضابط معي، مش عارف إيش المشكلة في المايكس يعني،
And ما
بس
عندي
على العموم
chat box أنا.
يعني أوكي. هاي مثلا disable المايك، أفتح المايك لأحمد كمان مرة، مبين معي إنه you can أوكي. طيب what is the duration for the workshop هبة؟
عم بسمع. Yes.
What
is إيش عفوا؟
duration for the workshop.
The duration for the workshop usually it's either يعني if it was online, we usually make it on 3 days. Sometimes that are 2 to 3 hours every day. And if it is physical, we usually take it for 1 day. That's like 9 to 4 or 8 to 10 hours.
8 to 10 hours. Okay. So the next of couple of, I think within 1 week, we will put some advertisement on our groups regarding the workshop with Hiba. During that time, I will just prepare with Hiba the details, and everyone will just know everything about this workshop. Inshallah, within 1 week, we will prepare it and how to register and to attend with this workshop. Again, the other question, how long the course and how much cost? Yes, the cost and duration, she said 10 hours. Depends on the attendees. They wanted in within 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. We can decide. Okay. If you can explain the building certificates, please. Again, the same question from Shireen Al-Qadi.
Okay. So the certification levels are different than any other certification scheme. You only need to get the first EDGE certification if you improve your building 20% more. It's like the building is 20% better than any regular building that is in your city in terms of energy, water, and embodied energy and material. So if your building is better than other buildings in the city by 20%, you get the first certificate, which is called the EDGE certificate. The EDGE Advanced certificate is if you improve 40% in the energy of the building, then you get the EDGE Advanced. So they're very simple. It's either you get 20% in each of the three categories, or if you get في مايك مفتوح في مايك مفتوح لحركة هواء.
أنا فتحت المايك لأحمد. أحمد ممكن نرجع لك. Can we just go I will let Hiba to complete the sentence, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I only got the third one, which is if you want to get a zero energy certificate, then this applies if the building has been built for 5 years and you are giving them the amount of energy and, let's say, reporting the consumption of the building and proofing that it is a zero energy building. So these are the main 3 different certificates. They're not levels rather than different certifications.
Nice. Again, Ahmed, if you want to ask any question.
Thank you for the lecture. I went one step ahead. I already printed the protocols, I printed the user guide, and
it's not clear for me.
Can you hear me?
He printed the user guide. I think that's what I got.
Yeah, I printed the user guide, I printed the protocol, and I already used Edge app to put the information about my project. But now, like, I want to understand more about the exam. Like, how can we use the user guide and the protocol to study for the exam? I see that the user guide explains the Edge app in detail. So
يعني very الصوت شوية بعيد. مش عارفة سامع بسمع إنه
No
طبعا
Ahmed, if you can. Yes, Ahmed, if you can just write the question in the chat box, it will be better.
Just so we don't miss anything, Ahmed. Yani just
Yes, because the voice is not clear for everyone.
And rejoin again.
it's just the microphone. I think it's a bit loud.
Yes. Yes, we have another question from Muhammad Hassanin. He's asking about is Edge dedicated only to the developing countries? So we have some samples or like prototypes here in Middle East
Yes.
for Edge certificate. Yes.
By the way, it's not only in the developing countries. You see lots of buildings certified in the UK and other developed countries, but it's enclosed. Yani there's an enclosure also for developing countries. They can also apply for the certification because it has a user-friendly platform. It's easy to obtain compared to other certification and doesn't require that much cost and expertise in the process. And yes, there are some examples. There are a few examples in Jordan and Egypt. You can see on the website all the case studies of that have actually gained the EDGE certification.
Shireen again, she's asking about is Edge Expert is almost equivalent to Lead GA?
No, not exactly because they are two different roles for the Edge Expert and the Edge Auditor. So you can only be an Edge Expert. You're not like getting better if you go an Edge Auditor. You're just getting more opportunities in a different type of work to do. So one of them is Edge Expert. You can actually gain the certification and go through the process of the designing in the building and gaining the certificate. And then the Auditor has a completely different scope of work where he comes and he audits your work. So the first, the Edge GA is like just general knowledge, but the Lead GA is just general knowledge versus the Edge Expert is not general knowledge. It's actually an accreditation that you can proceed with and do all the design. There's not any accreditation that is better than this. If you go to an auditor, you get a different type of, as I mentioned earlier. And if you get the faculty, then that's a different thing where you can actually give the training courses for Edge. So there are 3 different tasks for each of the accreditations.
Nice. Again, we'll go back to Ahmed. We'll try to, Ahmed, you can speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very good.
Perfect.
Okay, the problem was with I was joining using the Microsoft Teams. I think there's a problem with the Microsoft Teams compared to the one on the browser. So my question, Heba, again, is that I went one step ahead. I printed the protocols, I printed the user guide, and I already entered the information about my building on the Edge app. I'm working on a office building tower, which is 30 stories high. But I want to understand about the exam, like the user guide explained in detail the Edge app, and the protocols explains about the role of, for example, the Edge Expert, the Edge Auditor. So how can we study for the exam? Because there's a lot of information and it's like general knowledge. So how can we, do you understand my question?
Yes.
how can you, not exactly, how can you study for the exam? You mean?
How can we study?
Yeah, I think Mr. Ahmed is asking the workshop, it's enough for the pass the exam. This is, I think this is the summary of the question.
Definitely. Yes, you just need the workshop in order
so
to
you will
qualify.
cover everything. You will cover all the topics inside the workshop.
We will cover all the topics and all the questions, yes. But if you want to enter the exam, you can't take the exam without taking the workshop. That's the thing. You have, in order to take the exam, you have to pass. You have to take the workshop, and they send you a code that will make you eligible for taking the exam.
Yeah, I understand this. No, my question is, like, if we just take the workshop with you, this will be enough to take the exam, or we have to like study the user guide and the protocols?
Yes,
because it's
definitely.
a lot of information.
You will have to. No, you'll have to read the general information that can that helps you understand the whole thing. It's all by understanding rather than memorizing. So you need to go through them, yes, but they're not so much, to be honest. They're manageable.
I mean, by just
Shireen,
reading, you can just take the exam. You don't have to memorize anything, huh?
It's not memorizing any. When you say it's just knowing, it's just knowledge. It's
Ahmed, I think it's easier than lead for sure. lead
Yeah.
GA.
And just
But
one
I
final
could say,
question.
similar, but they're different. I would say they are a bit different. But we
Okay,
cannot
I
compare.
think
They're a bit.
So
yeah.
the
Yes.
passing rate, it's high, or there's some guys just repeat the test. Like now, in within 2 months, some students just may failed and to pass the lead GA. Maybe they start to doing some exams difficult. So the same situation we have it here in Edge, or تقريبا almost the majority of people who attempt the exam they will pass. As your
I
experience.
would say
As,
the average. If someone just doesn't study well, it's not that easy that you can just go in and pass.
yes.
You have to understand what's in the edge. You have to understand the application. You have to understand how it works. And then, yes, anyone can pass. So it's not, you have to have the minimum knowledge. It's not that easy that anyone can pass, but it's also not too complex. Their idea is not to complex things, That's about Edge. It wants things to be just widened and spread more.
Nice. Understood.
I've seen on the website there's only a sample of questions. There isn't that much like a
Oh,
question
no,
bank that you
not
can
like
practice with.
HCA.
That's true?
Yeah, I have a few, but no, they're not comparable to any other exam, let's say leads. No, they don't have much. And if you go even through the Edge Expert and then you want to apply for an Edge Auditor, they give you an exercise, a project to work through, and there's only one project. If you fail, you can't get it again. So yes, it is limited. It's not. There are not so many examples and questions, but there are just a few that can give you
So
a brief about how things go.
so it's only the ones available on the website. These are the questions yani, available for us to
I
practice,
think
or you will give
there,
us
yes, there are a few that you can get, yes, but not as much as the lead. That's what I want to point out. Not as much. There aren't available past questions given, whether it's for me or from any part of the world, as much as the lead GA or the lead AP in general. So yes, there are different questions, but there are not as much as the lead. Yeah,
okay.
if that's clear.
Yes, okay, Muhammad Hassanin, I think the same questions, and she already answered that. The Edge exam is not too bad. It's easy. Also, Shireen, does it need a lot of memorizing? For sure. I think if you just have some many times just reading the knowledge items, I think it's enough to pass the multiple choice, Hiba, right? It's nothing
Multiple
else.
choice.
Multiple choice. Yeah,
Multiple
multiple
choice.
choice.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Another questions?
Probably
Anyone?
during the probably during the when you go for the course, can you just explain how, like, when we open the user guide, it explains each part in detail. So how, yani, you can just read it as a general knowledge, but how can you memorize all of this, or how can you explain this a little bit further? And if you take, for example, one from the
Yeah.
materials, one from the energy, one from the water, it goes through what's on the website. So okay, this is general knowledge. You just read it, you know what's this, what's that. But yani, you cannot memorize yani,
No, but you
all of
understand
this,
it. And
right?
if anyone puts
Yeah.
the image in front of you and asks you questions about it, you would know how to answer because you already read and you know how it works. You would know that okay, this changes because the level of income has changed. Let's say, for example, you understand rather than you memorize. And they usually provide and ask you about an image, or if you want to speaking about the app, they usually have an example and they ask you about it. And it's just everything would be on the screen to go back to rather than memorize. Yeah. And they won't tell you to write down all the categories written on the application and memorize them. No, it's not memorizing. It's rather than understanding how each measure works and how each measure reflects on the final result.
Yeah, and I've seen the sample questions. It's quite straightforward. And they're not tricky at all. It's based on, like what you said, understanding. Are all the questions like this, like the one on the website, the sample, or some of them
يعني
are
شوف
like
هم they
more like
are
a scenario?
there are 100 questions يعني if any of the 100 questions one of them was tricky, so don't take my words يعني, you know. But in general it's just based really on understanding and knowing how things work and the software and the whole certification scheme. That's the main idea. They want to ensure that anyone who takes the Edge Expert is qualified and can actually go through the process. So if you understand the process and understand the software, I think you can pass the exam easily. Yeah. And it's always about trying examples. Like if you already have a project that you're going through an example, so then you can see how things change and how the measures affect the results, and so it will give you more understanding. And I don't think there will be a problem in the exam. Yeah.
Okay, Muhammad Hassan is just writing a question, so we will wait for last question from Muhammad Hassanin.
غريب ليش أنا ما عندي chat box. لسه
ما
بدور
بعرف،
عليه.
انا
لقيت
خليتك ريبريزنتر، يعني المفروض يبقى.
تخيل لا كم بدهم يخفوه مع البرزنتر.
Okay.
The first will
Now the
be
question: if we got it and passed the exam, will it add a benefit to our career? It's depend on the it's هذا رزق يا مهندس محمد، الله أعلم. Okay, Mr.
يعني
Hiba, you can
it is
answer. Yeah, it's
يعني
it's not like
I wish I
guarantee.
can say yes, and then he'll come back to me after the exam and and he'll tell me that he got like multiple projects after it, but that's not a guarantee because many people just take it. It depends on
I will answer these questions.
But you try
I will
to
be honest.
create the opportunities.
Yes,
There's always
yes.
a quote that says opportunity doesn't knock, just build a door. So you have to create the opportunity in order to develop. And the nice thing about Edge is that you can do it worldwide. So you can also be an auditor for a project, or like be an Edge expert for a project that is not in your same country. And the good thing is that even Edge auditors, they are all written. Their names are written on the website. So any client can open and contact you from anywhere in the world. So you can advertise yourself not only in your same country. If there aren't enough opportunities or there weren't enough opportunities, you can also advertise yourself worldwide. So you can be doing your project in an African country or in an American country or any other country of the world. So that's a good thing because it is expandable. It's not only limited to a certain city. You can do it even abroad.
Yeah, but I will be honest. The majority of people, our students or anyone just attend this workshop, the target or the market that we are looking for is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia now, I think it's the biggest area in the world, containing all the types of certificates for sustainability. We have billions of projects, billions of riyals and dollars that investing in sustainability buildings. They are trying to conduct all the types of certificates. I saw many buildings for Mustadam, LEED, Edge, Zero Carbon. Whatever you just read about it, you will have it here in Saudi Arabia. So the Edge, for sure, we will have projects here in Saudi Arabia, and any type of certificate will be adding value in your CV. It's like to development your acknowledgement and to make it more valuable. But nothing guarantee. Maybe I worked with one office and two guys. They worked with me for sustainability firms and they finished multiple of buildings for LEED. No one of them had a LEED AP, just LEED GA. So it's okay. You can have it without any practice, or the other side, you can have practice without the certificates. It's depend on you. Abdul Ghani is asking, I'm working in Envision and Lead BD plus C, where Edge will use in KSA. Allahu Alam. No one know. Maybe in Red Sea projects or NEOM. No one know.
Yeah, anywhere.
Yes, I think
Anywhere
it's not
could be.
applied yet in KSA from Muhammad Hassan. Yes, I think so also. But you will be the first one maybe. So prepare yourself. Just stand by for any time when they will asking for expert, you'll show up.
Hiba, can you just go quickly through the certification fees? I read on the website. I think it's much cheaper than lead. The certification, the fee for certification is $300, and then it's $3 per square meter. So I guess it's cheaper than lead. But how much does the expert and the auditor like? How much will you have to pay them if you wanna try to convince a client to apply Edge for your building? How much does the auditor and the expert charge?
Well, this is different from every country, to be honest, and from every client, and there isn't much a range that I can mention now, to be honest. It differs actually, really.
Like, can you just give me
Sometimes
like a
people
general?
would reduce. No general number, to be
I was
honest. I don't have a number now. Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's just like how much you would charge to be to design a project that is gaining the LEED certification.
Does the Edge auditor need to be?
But the thing is that they don't have. Sorry.
There is no fixed price. Yeah, it's not. It's like the order, and there is no fixed price.
Okay,
عرض وطلب يعني.
during design phase, is the Edge auditor required during design or only during construction?
No, yes, during the design and during construction, both.
Like he audits during design.
You're speaking about the auditor or the expert?
Yeah, the auditor.
Yes, the auditor audits also the design stage, and then he audits the construction stage and goes to a site visit. So there is auditing for both.
Yeah. So during the design phase, his involvement is probably at the end of the project before submission for the certification during design.
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
The role of the Edge auditor during the design phase is only at the end when the design is complete, and then
Yes, before you submit your information to GBCI for the certifier, the auditor has to audit all the input data and the information you have for the project, and then they will send it to the certifier to verify or to advise if you qualify for the certification or not. And then there's another second review that happens at the certifier. During the construction stage, this happens again as well, because then after you submit to the auditor first, and he reviews everything. He does a site visit. He confirms that everything is it applies to what you inserted in the information, and then they do advise for your recommend for certification to the GBCI or the certifier. So yes, he's needed in both, and it can be the same person or it can be two different auditors. So it's not linked to the same. But the main rule is that the auditor and the Edge expert shouldn't be from the same organization.
The same person, yeah, I know that. Like a code of ethic, I've read about that. So the one who uploads all the information during design is the Edge expert, right? The one who is taking care of the.
Yes, everything is the design expert. Yes, who is also related to the design team. He reviews all the information and he inputs the data on the software, and then he submits it to the auditor. Yes, on the Edge app, and then the auditor will review that afterwards.
Okay, thank you. We have maybe 5 minutes for last questions if anyone has any question. If not, we can say
if you give the course, what will be the timing? And it's going to be after
we will
working
decide.
hours?
Mr. Ahmed, just I will sit with Hiba and we will just discuss everything about that, and just keep in touch with us inside our channel and Telegram or in our groups areas, and I think within 1 week the post will be on our Facebook page. Anyone can attend the workshop, inshallah. Thank you for everyone for attending this workshop with Hiba and Nazar.
Thank you so much.
if you,
Thank you, everyone.
yes, if you have last, just the mic with you, Hiba.
And I have to say thank you for everyone for attending, and thank you for you, Engineer Osama, for arranging this platform
you're welcome.
and lecture.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Have a good night. Bye. Bye. Bye.